Okay, Luke 1:26 through 38. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel to a town in Galilee named Nazareth. He had a message for a young woman promised in marriage to a man named Joseph, who was a descendant of King David. Her name was Mary, and the angel came to her and said, "Peace be with you. The Lord has greatly blessed you." Well, Mary was deeply troubled by the angel's message, and she wondered what his words meant. The angel said to her, "Don't be afraid, Mary. God has been gracious to you. You will become pregnant and give birth to a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be great, and he will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will make him a king as his ancestor David was, and he will be the king of the descendants of Jacob forever. His kingdom will never end." Mary said to the angel, "I am a virgin. How then can this be?" The angel answered, "The Holy Spirit will come on you, and God's power will rest on you. For this reason, the holy child will be called the Son of God. Remember your relative Elizabeth. It is said that she cannot have children, but she herself is now 6 months pregnant, even though she is very old. For there is nothing that God cannot do." "I am the Lord's servant," said Mary. "May it happen to me as you have said." And the angel left her. Now, the angel came to Mary. The angel also came in a dream to Joseph to let him know that everything was cool, that he could trust what was happening. And of course, we know that the angels announced Jesus' birth. So, obviously today, since the title is Are Angels Real, we're going to be talking about angels. And this is not something that we've talked much about. Really, in the whole time I think I've been here in Unity, we haven't talked a lot about angels. But my hope today is that if you have doubt about the existence of what we would call the supernatural, of these intelligent beings that are present with us, that you will suspend that doubt for the time that we're together today. And my hope is that by the end of this service that you will hopefully be open to doing a little bit more research on your own and recognizing that these higher intelligence are absolutely real and that they are with each and every one of us. Now, the word angel is mentioned in the Old Testament 108 times and 165 times in the New Testament. And in the Bible, it clearly tells us that God has sent his angels to have charge over us. Psalm 91:11 and 12 says, "He will give his angels charge of you to guard you in all your ways. On their hands they will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against the stone." So, and I couldn't even begin to get all of the scripture about angels, but there's a lot of scripture about angels. Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, metaphysically says that an angel is a messenger of God, a projection into consciousness of a spiritual idea direct from the fountainhead Jehovah, the word of truth in which is centered the power of God to overcome all limited beliefs and conditions. So from a metaphysical viewpoint, and it's a direct revelation that we receive from the fountainhead God. And it's always centered in absolute truth, and that message is something that can overcome anything in the physical realm. So I did a lot of research this week. I downloaded 2 books, and I really enjoyed this week just listening to and studying about angels. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that I learned through various things. One is that angels are benevolent beings. They transcend all religion, and they are here to help activate us, to help support us. And when we look around the world, almost all religions and indigenous people have a concept of angels. The Indians it's spirits, but there's some type of a divine presence that everybody believes in some way that is here for us individually, for each of us as individuals. Much of what I'm going to share with you today comes from a book called The Physics of Angels. And this is written by both Reverend Dr. Matthew Fox. Now, Matthew is an internationally acclaimed theologian and author, and he's an Episcopalian priest. He has written over 23 books, as well as Rupert Sheldrake, and he is an English author and a biochemist, so he's a scientist. And this book is really about bringing the spiritual and the scientific together. And it's as much as I got to read, it was pretty amazing to see what they had to say and to like everything that they went back to. Also, in my readings and in what I've been watching, there is Lorna Byrne. That's Byrne, because I'm going to encourage you to go to YouTube and look up some of her interviews, and in particular her documentary. Lorna Byrne is an Irish author, and she's a peace ambassador, and she has written numerous books on angels. And the interesting thing with Lorna is that she has seen angels from the time that she was conscious. And she said to look at her mother was, it was the same, she would see an angel just like she was looking at her mother. And one of the things that she talked about was that every single person has a guardian angel that has been with us from the beginning, is never separate from us, and will usher us into the next realm. And she sees them as these like beams of light behind each person. And that's why I did the meditation that way, because I wanted you just to start to get a taste or a feel for the presence of this guardian angel that is with you and has always been with you and will always be with you. And in a little bit, I'm going to actually show you a video of Matthew Fox interviewing Lorna Byrne. So what we do know about our great master teacher Jesus is that he practiced the presence of God, and there's many ways to practice the presence of God. The way that we're going to talk about today is through our experience of this that we call angels. Now, I know that traditionally angels are seen as these beings with these wings, and some people see them that way. But we might sometimes I'll be like, my angels, my guides, my higher self, whatever that is. I know that there is something here. I have no doubt about that. I've experienced it too many times in my life. I know that there is something here for each and every one of us, whatever you want to call it. It's just that today we're going to call them angels. Okay, so Rupert, the scientist, said that the challenge is that we have a tendency to reduce them to mere manifestations of our own psyche, that from the subjective reality we can look at somebody and say, oh yeah, they're talking about angels, it's a figment of their imagination. And I don't know about you guys, but I know that I definitely had a long period in my life where I was like, angels, right? Is that really real? But he said that it's important for us to really lean into the subjective existence of angels, and that not only is it a big challenge for us, but the big opportunity for us at this particular point in time is for us to really lean into these non-human intelligences that are here with us, because and as you'll see, and you'll hear more about that, so I'm not going to say that in the video. Okay, the word angel comes from the Greek word anglos, which means messenger in Hebrew. And one of the messages that the angels bring in the Bible almost every time that an angel shows up is the angel says, do not be afraid. Almost every time that you read something about an angel, it's do not be afraid. And just stopping for a moment with that and really allowing ourselves to recognize that in the realm of this life, there really isn't anything for us to fear. There really isn't. That we do have this incredible support, and it's here with us all the time. And at our call, they are here to guide us, and they are here to help us. Now, angels can take many forms. Sometimes they appear as humans, and I read a story in particular about a woman who, she was an older woman, got a knock on her door. She answered the door, and there was a man standing there with a knife. And he just got pale as soon as he opened the door, and he ran the other way. Well, later on, he was caught. And they asked him why he left. And he said when she opened the door, there were two big, tall men standing behind her. And there were not two big, tall men in her house. But I have read countless things about that kind of thing in particular. So sometimes they do show up as human. Sometimes they show up as like a glowing light or an aura. And I mean, I know that for myself, I've seen that, where there's been a glowing light or an aura. A lot of times when there's been an averted tragedy or an averted disaster, they won't be seen, but we acknowledge that, something was there to help. And we've all heard those stories about traffic things that are going on. And then if something good or something unexpected that's really good happens, we often say it was the angel's intervention. How many of us have had times when we cannot explain how something has shown up, but it's because it's been so beyond our human intellect? Yeah. Angels. Okay. In addition, angels have very strong wills, and this is actually St. Thomas Aquinas. He was a 13th century philosopher and theologian and a Catholic priest. And he said, by nature, their will is loving. They're not abstract intellectuals that they bring us knowledge, but this knowledge is coupled with love, so it becomes wisdom. And that they can never be anything but loving. And, one of the things that in one of the interviews I saw with Lorna, one of the questions that was asked was, because our guardian angel is with us all the time. And it's like, well, how do they react to those times when we don't necessarily live up to our potential? Anybody ever not live up to their potential? We make some mistakes along the way. And, she was like, they only see you as the perfection that you are. And so there's never a withholding, there's never a judgment in that they are all they are here for. They are here for you. Your guardian angel is here for you at all times. He says, St. Thomas Aquinas says that the angels are agents and co-workers with us. Sometimes they guard and defend us. Sometimes they inspire us and they announce great news to us, like in the story of the Bible. And sometimes they get us to move. And sometimes they heal us. And, I really thought about that one because I had shared that a number of years ago, my great nephew, who was 9 years old, died of a very rare form of childhood cancer. And this kid was the most positive young human, and he was surrounded by a family that was so positive. And he had just thousands of people praying for him. And so when he transcended this realm, I struggled with that for a while, like why, with all of that. And it really, what helped me was to know that, because why do some people heal? Why do people talk about, and I've read again, where they felt an angel or that something has come upon them and they're healed. And it's just the realization that their work isn't done. And that those who transcended, their work is done. It's not that somebody is more special than anyone else. It's really the recognition that there's just more work for this person to do. But sometimes people feel those angels coming and healing them, and it's a very, very real thing. And sometimes they usher us into different realms where they're because they are messengers of God. And I think of this with the near-death experiences, where people come back from a near-death experiences and they bring knowledge with them. But they also, and this is one of the things that Lorna talked about, that when it is our time to pass, that angel makes its presence known to us. And every person as they are passing has this angel with them. And I don't know about you, but that just brought me a lot of peace. I mean, I kind of knew that anyway, but just hearing her say it, for the people in my life who have passed over, just knowing, in that moment, they were great. And they had this beautiful, loving presence with them to help usher them into that other realm. St. Thomas of Aquinas said the universe would not be complete without the angels. So at this point, I am going to show you the video. It's about 7 minutes long. It's really good.
welcome and introduction, and all those here at the cathedral, thanking our harpist for the beautiful bringing in of the music, and Owen for his music as well. So welcome, Lorna, to Grace Cathedral in San Francisco.
Thank you.
I would like to begin with the now. Are you experiencing angels now in this particular place? And if so, what are they? How are they appearing to you, and what are they communicating?
I don't know where to start. I hope you all can hear me. Can you all hear me? Where will I start? I see so many angels. This cathedral is full of them. They're literally everywhere. They're even sitting in between each and every one of you. And I see the light of the guardian angel behind each and every person here as well. I just have to smile because I know some of you mightn't understand, but I see angels as physically as I'm seeing you sitting there. You know, and that is just normal for me. I'm just going to share this little bit. There's angels still coming in both sides of each door down there, and how can I say this? A lot of them are unemployed angels, and unemployed angels are very bright. They're kind of like white, but it's a different in their clothing of what they're dressed. But there is some angels dressed in an absolutely beautiful blue colour. And I'm asking them why, but they're not answering me. I'm afraid I can't tell angels what to do or what to say either in that way. And there's just a beautiful angel standing at the main door that's closed down there, and he's bigger than the door, and he's actually giving a male appearance. And all this I can say is he is dressed in like all gold, but it all looks like armour. So I think he's here to protect the cathedral. I saw him the last day I was here as well, when I came to visit. So I believe God has him here to protect and to keep the cathedral strong. Now, I don't mean the building, it's all that goes on within it in that way, and I think that is beautiful.
Let's talk a bit more about this phrase, unemployed angels.
Yes.
There are a lot of unemployed human beings. Is there a connection?
Maybe there is, I don't know. All as I know is that there are millions of unemployed angels in the world. God is just pouring angels down into the world, you know, because we really need them. There may be a lot of people unemployed, and I'd say anybody who is unemployed, ask an unemployed angel to help you to get a job. Allow yourself to feel their courage and strength, because they don't give up on you. You know, and of course ask your guardian angel. It's your guardian angel that allows the unemployed angel to be in and around you.
So in many ways we might interpret this unemployment of angels and the pouring out of more angels to be telling us that humans are in trouble, the planet is in trouble,
yes,
and so we're getting
yes.
more angelic help than ever.
God is doing that. You know, when I was small as a child, they used to say, you know, Lorna, you'll write about God and us, you know, and I took no notice of them, and even as a teenager and as an adult. And it was the time when the angel Michael said, Lorna, you know, you're to write about God and us, and I got really annoyed with him because, you know, I can't read or write. I can read a little bit now, you know, but at that time I couldn't. And I just said to him, how on earth am I expected to, you know, even write one book? And he just said help would be sent. And that's what God is doing. The world really, each and every one of us really need help. At the moment, we need help to save this world, to save this planet. You know, there is so much good within this planet, within our world, but yet there is so much bad, you know, and so much injustice and all of that, you know, and that is why God is pouring angels down onto the world and helping us to become more aware that you're not just, you know, flesh and blood, you know, that you have that soul that's inside of you, that's that spark, that speck of light, that is God, and it's inside of you. And yet it's so tiny, it's like a tiny little spark, but yet it fills every part of you, you know. And we have to start to recognize that we're not just human beings, we are spiritual beings as well, and we can make this world, I know, I can't prove it to you, but I know we can make this world so just and so full of love, no more war or hunger or greed, you know, all of those things, no more bitterness within families, you know, all of that we can make this world, and what I call it is like that little piece of heaven. We have, and especially the American people, and you're all Americans, I believe, best part of you, you know, and you have been chosen to be part of the new race, and so much of all the solutions, you know, to world peace, to everything, to even what people might call the economical crisis, you know, it all comes from here. And I know American people look in at themselves, but the rest of the world is looking in at you. We're saying, come on, what's keeping you? You know, it's part of that spiritual evolution. It's part of man changing, man becoming more than what we are today.
Isn't that inspiring? Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that she said American people in particular, that, you know, that the world is looking at us and they're waiting for us to be the leaders in this and to show up as the leaders in this. And I do believe that we're called to this. You know, it's interesting with Lorna, as you heard, she's illiterate. And yet she's written these books and can just read a little bit now. And at the age of 10, the angels have always been with her, but they gave her a glimpse of her future, and they showed her the man that she was going to meet and fall in love with and marry. And but they also showed her that he would not live. And that's exactly what happened. And she said that when he got ill, she wanted to beg the angels, but she knew that that wasn't, you know, what to do. But I encourage you to go watch some of the YouTube videos of Lorna, and I think that will really open up your heart and mind if there's any doubt that we don't have this angelic help. I know for myself, you know, I've had many experiences. One of my first experiences was when I was about 17 years old. I had a Volkswagen Beetle, and those of you who knew Volkswagens at that time, they didn't have a defrost system very well. And I lived in Ohio. I was on my way to work, and it was a blizzardy bad day. And I turn out onto a street kind of like Battlefield, and my windshield wipers are going, but the visual it's getting, you know, smaller and smaller, and I'm thinking I need to pull over at some point, but all of a sudden, and it was just a knowing. It wasn't a voice I heard, but something just said, pull over now, and I pulled over. And when I got out, because I had my little credit card to, you know, get my ice off, about 50 feet in front of where I would have gone was a stop truck, and I would have hit that truck. Another time was I had this van that would just die. I mean, it would just die. And I was in Ohio. I was coming home, and I had my kids with me in the car. We would travel through the night, and it was bad. It was bad weather again. And so the first time, something in me just said, get off at the next exit. And so I got off at the next exit, and as soon as I got off at that exit, my van died, and I just was able to roll down the hill. And amazingly enough, because we traveled in the middle of the night, a family came by and they picked us up and took us to a hotel. That wasn't the end of the trip. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with the van. That for some reason it started. We start out again, and at this point now, it's like it's a snowstorm. And I'm coming up to Fort Leonard Wood. And again, it was the same thing. I come up on this hill, and it's just like, pull off now. I pulled off, and the same exact thing happened where my van just died. I made it down, and we spent the night there. Those are only a couple of the experiences that I've had. How many of you have had experiences similar or where you know, yeah, there's something that is guiding us? And I think that my hope for today is that we will let ourselves move beyond the intellect and start really, one of the things that they talk about is that we have got to get back into the sacred. We've got to get back into the divine. That for the last 200 years, we've been about industrialization and machines, and now about technology. And so everything is about all of this stuff out here, and we've lost sight of what's really important. And how beautiful is it? And I just want you to take just a moment right now. Just take a moment and feel the energy of that angel that's right behind you. Because it's right there. This beautiful, non-human intelligence that is pure love is wrapping itself around you right now. And let yourself feel that. And then in these moments, I'm going to invite you to invite it to be fully present in your life. And then take this from this place and take this into your daily life and start calling upon the angels. Because here's the one thing, we have free will, and they cannot intervene in our life without us asking. And I love that, I think it was Matthew Fox said, humanity needs to get creative again and to reinvent the way we are living on the planet, and to do it with more respect for all the other creatures and ourselves. And for this, we need angelic help. And I loved when she said, God is just pouring out just tons of angels right now. And they're unemployed angels, and they're here for us. So your homework this week, you guys, it's really pretty good homework, is just to connect with your angels. Just open yourself up. Ask them to reveal themselves to you. And just